We're back. We are back with another astonishing article and video. But let's get right into this because this is really astonishing. Check this out. UN declares Christians who don't accept pedophiles will be removed from society. This was published August 10th, 2023, so just a couple days ago. It also says that it was fact-checked. The United Nations has warned Christians that if they do not fully embrace the legalization of pedophilia, they will be excluded from participating in society. In a disturbing new declaration, UN Chief Victor Madrigal-Borloo says religious freedom can only be tolerated if religious people fully embrace the globalist agenda, including radical LGBTQ+ ideology. Which is disturbing enough by itself until you learn what is in the fine print of the LGBTQ+ ideology the UN is pushing. Make no mistake, this is depraved stuff from the global elite, and they are about to ram it down our throats unless we spread the word about their real agenda and stand up as one against them. Can we do that? That's my question. Can we do that? Can we stop sitting around and doing nothing? We need your help dismantling a 9,000-year-old devil-worshipping pedophile cult. Before we dive in, judging by the mainstream media's reaction, the declaration by UN top brass Victor Madrigal-Borloo about what life would be like for Christians in the brave new world of Agenda 2030 was completely normal and reasonable. But in reality, the UN just leveled a diabolical threat at Christians the world over. According to Madrigal-Borloo, in the near future, Christians won't be able to take religious freedom for granted, including Christians in the United States. In other words, religious freedom won't be right. It will be something we have to earn. And the only way to earn it will involve submitting to evil agenda of the elite. It's worth paying close attention to their words here. According to the UN, religious freedom can only exist if it is compatible with the LGBTQ+ agenda and if Christians and other religious groups comply with radical far-left ideology. And what if we don't comply? They have a plan for us. It's all laid out in black and white in their Agenda 2030 documents. According to the elite, they will punish us with bad social credit scores like they already are doing in China. Unfortunately, the mainstream media watching masses are sleepwalking towards disaster, happily signing up for the technology, including mRNA and microchips that will allow the elite to operate their open-air prison. These people are delusional. They have no idea what is coming. The globalist elite have been attempting to normalize pedophilia behind the scenes for years now. I've been saying it. Give it 3 to 5 years, and we will see pedophilia being legalized in many states. And now we are seeing the fruits of their labor right out in the open. As ever, the devil is in the details. So what is in the fine print of the LGBTQ+ ideology the UN is pushing? Madrigal-Borloo was telling Christians that if they want to continue enjoying their religious freedom, they must agree with the report issued earlier this year that calls for the decriminalization of sex between adults and minors. This isn't just about 16 and 14-year-olds. This is about 5s, 6s, 3s, 2s, all the way down to infants, because sin is a slippery slope, and it gets slippery, more and more slippery, the more the slope grows. Written by the International Committee of Jurists, UNAIDS, and the Office of High Commissioner for Human Rights, the report was released on International Women's Day with the goal of guiding the application of international human rights law to criminal law, called the 8 March Principles. The report calls for offenses related to drugs and sex, including pedophilia and incest, to be decriminalized. According to the legal expert, laws against pedophilia constitute an attack on the human rights of, wait for it, children. The age of consent is a discriminatory concept that discriminates against children who want to have sex with adults. The report states, with respect to the enforcement of criminal law, any prescribed minimum age of consent to sex must be applied in a non-discriminatory manner. Enforcement may not be linked to the sex, gender of participants, or age of consent to marriage. Moreover, sexual conduct involving persons below the domestically prescribed minimum age of consent to sex may be consensual, in fact, if not in law. In this context, the enforcement of criminal law should reflect the rights and capacity of persons under 18 years of age to make decisions about engaging in consensual sexual conduct and their right to be heard in matters concerning them. Pursuant to their evolving capacities and progressive autonomy, persons under 18 years of age should participate in decisions affecting them with due regard to their age, maturity, and best interests, and with specific attention to non-discrimination guarantees. Let me tell you something. This ideology and sexual exploitation in the classrooms that's happening with the spread of this propaganda of sex and sex ed, this is desensitizing the children, and it is causing them to not even mature, but to think that they are mature enough, that they know enough about sexual education to make their own decisions based on the way they feel is right. But this has been all propaganda to train the children to accept these things, not only accept them, but to defend them, to go against parents who are only trying to look out for their own well-being. But more and more, the window of opportunity of influence is shortening and closing and becoming so much smaller because of the propaganda and indoctrination that has been brought about by the public schools. Minors, of course, cannot truly consent to sex with an adult, something these so-called experts should know. This is just another evil policy pushed by the globalist elite on the unsuspecting citizens of Western countries. If you are wondering how any adult could possibly bring themselves to argue that laws against pedophilia infringe on the rights of children, then you must remember that to the globalist elite, bad equals good. Woe to them who call that evil good and good evil. Aren't we seeing all of these things come to pass? And we have now reached the phase of their master plan where they are rubbing it in our faces. This is a war going on, and the elite and their puppets in politics and entertainment are becoming more desperate by the day to normalize what in previous eras was understood to be the worst crime of all, which is child abuse. Look at this. Their children to see this disgusting filth, this degeneracy. Babies on a pole. Oh, that's great. 114,000 showed up. And I promise you, they were with children. I promise you that this was open to children. And they were encouraged to go. Wow. The days are growing evil, my friends. At the highest levels of politics, finance, and the entertainment industry, a shadowy cabal of pedophiles use their power to hide the sickening crimes they commit against children. Remember her? Remember him? Trafficking children to apparently no one? Is anyone surprised that our leaders are blood-sucking devil worshippers? Absolutely not. Why? The Druids committed cannibalism and ritual human sacrifice and consumed baby blood on an industrial scale. And let me remind you, the Druids are where all of these fantasies like Christmas come from. Okay? All of these myths, these were not myths. These were actual living devils, demons that these people worship. And the church is worshiping them. When you worship with the world, when you celebrate with the world, you worship Satan. Period. There is nothing else. You're either going to serve one or the other. But don't take my word for it. That was all according to Kellen Gorgescu, a former president of the Club of Rome and a former executive director at the United Nations, who has become one of the most well-placed and high-profile whistleblowers in global elite history. You know, these people are supposed to be, these people, we have allowed the UN, this disgusting filth from pedophile, to become a major world dominance. That's what this UN is. It's a one world government order. That's what it is. One world government order. And they are extreme. I mean, this is coming down the pipeline. And you've got to wake up and be prepared what they are about to do. Stop as Christians, stop wishing to be raptured away, because it's not going to happen. How bad does it need to get in order for us to wake up and say, okay, maybe I should start preparing for, having to actually carry my cross every day, having to actually follow in the Master's footsteps, actually having to suffer for righteousness' sake, exactly like the scriptures tell us? In Matthew 24, it doesn't say that we're going to be raptured out. It says that it was compared to the days of Noah. In the days of Noah, who was taken and who was left? The righteous were left. The wicked were taken away with the flood. Wake up. Wake up. But their power is waning. It is more important than ever before to stand your ground and refuse to hand over your birthright to the globalist elite. Here with the people's voice, we are determined to continue reporting on the crimes of the globalist elite and exposing their agenda. Listen, share this video and get ready. Prepare your hearts. Why is there fear if you're walking in love? They want your children, and they are coming after them. I'm telling you, this is right around the corner. We are not far from these types of things becoming mainstream. And all of it that's leading up to this is a desensitization of you, of your children. You better stand up, and you better get it right. You better start opening your eyes and realizing the time and the seasons that we are living in, because there's a lot that's going to come, and it is going to come fast. And if you are not ready, it's going to smack you right in the head.